John Deere, the name that's been synonymous with American farming for nearly 2 centuries, has just dropped a bombshell that's rippling through rural towns and manufacturing hubs alike. The company is officially shutting down major production operations in the United States, blindsiding thousands of American workers and farmers. Plants in Iowa, Illinois, and Georgia are going dark. Assembly lines that once built the green and yellow machines that feed the world are grinding to a halt. This isn't just a pause or a holiday break. This is a sweeping strategic shutdown, and the implications are enormous. It's sending shockwaves through the agricultural sector, Wall Street, and the 2024 political battlefield, because just hours after the announcement, Donald Trump responded, and his reaction has everyone talking. John Deere's announcement has left entire communities stunned. Workers, some with decades of experience, say they had no idea this was coming. Families who built their livelihoods around Deere's presence in their town are waking up to a harsh new reality. One longtime employee from the Waterloo, Iowa facility described it as like a bomb went off. There was no warning, just a meeting, and then we were done. For small-town economies that rely heavily on a single major employer, this kind of shutdown can be devastating. Local diners, gas stations, and hardware stores lose not just foot traffic, but entire revenue streams. The company is trying to spin it, claiming the shutdown is part of a global realignment strategy to boost efficiency and long-term competitiveness. But behind that corporate jargon lies a more troubling truth. American jobs are being eliminated, and more manufacturing is being shifted overseas to cut costs. Some insiders say production is being quietly moved to Mexico and Brazil, where labor is cheaper and regulations are looser. That's not just a business decision. It's a betrayal of the American workforce, and it's reigniting a nationwide conversation about the state of domestic manufacturing that IT didn't take long for former President Donald Trump to enter the conversation. And when he did, he came out swinging. In a fiery post on Truth Social, Trump blasted John Deere, saying, "Disgraceful. John Deere is turning its back on the American worker and our incredible farmers. This is exactly why we need to bring back jobs and stop the globalist sellout." This isn't just political theater. It's a direct message to the millions of rural voters who feel abandoned by big corporations and ignored by Washington. Trump is turning John Deere into a symbol of everything he says is wrong with modern American capitalism: profit over people, globalism over patriotism, and silence from the elites, while working-class Americans are left to pick up the pieces. His timing couldn't be more calculated. With 2024 heating up, Trump knows that the heartland is listening, and John Deere's move gives him an ideal narrative to rally support. Expect this issue to show up in speeches, debates, and campaign ads. Whether you support Trump or not, there's no denying this. His reaction has thrust this story into the national spotlight, and it's forcing other politicians to take a stand. This isn't just a John Deere story. This is a warning siren for American manufacturing as a whole. The Deere shutdown is only the latest in a long line of U.S. companies pulling back on domestic production, all while raking in massive profits and cutting costs by offshoring jobs. We've seen it in the auto industry, in consumer electronics, and now in agricultural machinery, a sector once thought to be immune to globalization due to its deep rural roots and specialized production needs to why is this happening? Part of the blame lies with automation and robotics, which reduce the need for human labor. But that's not the whole picture. Many companies, including John Deere, are choosing to relocate factories to countries where wages are lower, environmental regulations are lax, and labor unions are virtually non-existent. It's not just about technology, it's about a race to the bottom. And when iconic American brands like Deere participate in that race, it undermines faith in the entire system. That let's not forget John Deere's recent controversies. The right to repair movement has been battling Deere for years over its restrictive software and monopolistic control over equipment repairs. Farmers have long accused the company of prioritizing profits over their livelihoods. This shutdown feels like an extension of that same disregard. Only now it's not just about software, but about real jobs and real families. The immediate impact of this shutdown is massive. Thousands of workers are losing their paychecks. Entire supply chains are disrupted, and farmers who rely on U.S.-built Deere equipment are left wondering what this means for the machines they depend on. Will service get slower? Will parts get more expensive? Will new tractors now be built in another country with lower quality control? For many, the trust in John Deere, a company that once embodied American reliability, is beginning to crack. Meanwhile, the political ramifications are just beginning. Trump is seizing the moment, but other politicians are weighing in too. Labor unions are calling for investigations. Some lawmakers are pushing for legislation to prevent corporations from shutting down U.S. facilities without notice or penalty. And average Americans, especially in the Midwest, are asking, who's protecting us anymore? This issue cuts deep. It's about economic identity, regional pride, and the survival of the American working class. And it's going to dominate the conversation in the coming months, on campaign trails, in town halls, and across every media outlet that still cares about what's happening on the ground. What happens next? That's the big question. John Deere could choose to walk back some of these shutdowns under pressure. We've seen companies reverse decisions before when hit with enough political, consumer, and financial backlash. But if they don't, they risk alienating their core base, the very people who made the brand what it is. John Deere was once more than a company. It was a symbol of American strength, ingenuity, and rural pride. But now, with this latest move, that legacy is in jeopardy. If the company continues down this path, it may win short-term savings, but at the cost of long-term trust. Will Trump's pressure campaign change anything? Will a new administration force corporations to rethink outsourcing? Or will John Deere simply join the growing list of once American companies that left the heartland behind? What do you think about all of this? Is John Deere making a smart business move, or betraying the workers and farmers who helped build its empire? And how do you feel about Trump's response? Was it genuine outrage or calculated politics? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This story is far from over, and your voice matters now more than ever. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our continuing coverage on this breaking story and the future of American industry. Until next time, stay informed, stay bold, and remember, the fight for American jobs isn't over. It's just beginning. For many farmers across America, this shutdown feels personal. John Deere isn't just a brand. It's part of their daily lives. For generations, the name has been trusted to keep farms running, crops harvested, and food on the table. But now, with manufacturing shifting away from U.S. soil, a growing number of farmers feel abandoned by the very company they supported for decades. In interviews with rural co-ops and farming communities, the reaction is overwhelmingly negative. This isn't the John Deere we grew up with, one Kansas farmer said. They used to stand for American strength. Now they stand for corporate greed. Others point out the hypocrisy. The company's ads often wrap themselves in American flags, proud heritage, and slogans like, "Nothing runs like a Deere." Yet behind the scenes, those tractors may soon be made in plants thousands of miles away. It's a slap in the face to the very people who built Deere into a $100+ billion empire. What happens when a factory shuts down in a small town? It's not just about the workers on the line. It's about the entire economic ecosystem. John Deere facilities often support hundreds of ancillary jobs: parts suppliers, logistics companies, food vendors, hotels, mechanics, toolmakers, and more. When production halts, all of those businesses take a hit. In places like Moline, Illinois, or Ottumwa, Iowa, that ripple effect is already being felt. Restaurants that catered to Deere employees are reporting slumps. Tool suppliers say orders are drying up. And some local banks are even bracing for an uptick in loan defaults from laid-off employees. This is how manufacturing decline snowballs into community collapse. And it's why these kinds of shutdowns are more than just business decisions. They're deeply political and social ones too. Let's dive into Deere's side of the story. According to executives, the shutdowns are part of a long-term global strategy to optimize production and streamline supply chains. That sounds reasonable on paper, until you look at where the new investments are going. Deere is expanding in Mexico, Brazil, and India. Not coincidentally, countries with much cheaper labor and fewer regulations. While these moves boost short-term profits and investor confidence, they raise serious ethical questions. Can a company that benefits from U.S. infrastructure, patents, subsidies, and farmer loyalty simply walk away when the costs go up? Critics argue this is yet another example of corporate short-termism. squeezing every penny for shareholders, even if it means gutting the communities and industries that made success possible in the first place.